Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Don't mind the hat. I just wanted to do something different today. Don't mind the hat. But, anyways, as usual, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, if you want a one-on-one session, you can email me at paul.wisdom_03 at hotmail.com, or you can send me a text message at 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you need advice, I'd be more than happy to give you some advice, give you some help based on your situation, and then we can get you all the help that you need. So, what we are going to talk about, what we are going to be talking and touching on today is we are living in very strange times. Yes, we all know that we are living in very, very strange times. Now, I'm going to start this video off by saying that the fact that we are living in very strange times, none of us saw this coming. Think back to 2 or 3 years ago when this COVID nonsense pandemic hit the world, and we had no idea that it was going to happen. None of us, we never saw this coming. Everything like that shut down. Everything shut down. All the stores, hospitals, and places, they all shut down. Everything shut down. Workplaces, businesses, they all shut down because of this COVID pandemic, and we never saw this coming. Also, not just with that, but we've seen, throughout the last 3 or 4 years that there's a sudden shift in this world. A lot of things have changed. A lot of people are now different. People are now expressing themselves. All the things that they've experienced. They've been talking a lot more, right? And now understanding that our what we're talking about is narcissism. This relates to narcissism in the sense that from the beginning of time, we have to realize, and I mentioned this in one of my videos, that narcissism has always been with us. It's always been around us. It's been all around us. The truth is, though, is that it's not been talked about because people, what they did was they tried to find different ways of talking about it without actually talking about it, sort of like reverse psychology. But what I'm saying is that things have become so strange now these days. We're definitely living in the end times. We're seeing it unfold all around us. And if you're religious like myself, you know that one thing that I've been talking about, quite, recent, if you're religious like myself, is, the book of Revelation that talks about the fact that we're living in the end times and things are manifesting themselves in big ways. The fact that people are turning against one another. Women are, our wives are hating their husbands are hating their wives, and people are hating each other. The truth is now being sold for a lie. It's like good is bad and bad is good, and people are being people who work so hard all their lives are being demoted. People who don't work hard are being promoted. We see the shift in what's going on within different countries. We see all the wars that are happening. We see all the things that are happening, and these are all signs of the end times, right? And we see that as it relates to narcissism, that narcissists, they thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. That's something that I talk about in every single one of my videos because it's just that. It's true. If they don't have chaos, confusion, and control, then narcissists can't thrive. They can't do what they love best because this is what they do. This is what they love. They love chaos, confusion, and control. And so the fact that we're living in these end times, these end times are actually exposing the narcissist, right? They're exposing the narcissist's true colors. The devil knows that his time is up. The devil knows that he has a very short time, that he's going to be thrown in that lake of fire. And because the devil knows that, he needs to run around and crush and destroy as many lives as he can, because he knows that he's going to be thrown in that lake of fire. And the book of Revelation talks about this. Now, when it relates to narcissists know that their lives are one complete lie, that they're a facade. They know that they're a fake. They know that they need to mimic back other people's ideas. They need to steal other people's ideas. They need to mirror back to people what people think that they want to see, and they need to take from people as much as they can so that those people can be left with nothing, right? Narcissists know that they need to do, narcissists know that this is what they do, this is all they can do, right? And because we're living in the end times, we're living in very strange times, we didn't think, that narcissism was going to become such an epidemic now that, that's all that seems to be talked about these days, right? Is narcissism, right? And it's true. And the fact and the reason why it's being talked about so much is because it's all around us. You look in your family, there's narcissists in your family, I'm sure. You look in your workplace, you may have a narcissistic boss. I'm not saying every workplace is narcissistic, but majority of the time you find that you have a narcissistic boss or a narcissistic employee. Or you even look in your marriage, it could be your husband's a narcissist or your wife is a narcissist or your kids are narcissistic somehow. You go to the store and you figure out and you find out that that person that you're talking to is a narcissist because they're asking you, questions, very personal questions, even though they've just met you. Now, I'm not saying every person that asks you personal questions is a narcissist. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say though is that there are different groups of people. There are people that want to get to know you and truly do have want to have a reasonable conversation with you, and that there are people that want to steal everything from you, right? And these are narcissistic people. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. They need to have everything while giving absolutely nothing, right? And so we're living in very, very strange times. You know what I mean? We didn't think that somebody that you meet whom you thought, respected you and care about you, you didn't think that this person could, be manipulating you. They could be lying to your face, literally telling you everything you want to hear just to give you absolutely nothing, right? You didn't think that people like this existed. You didn't think that somebody could gaslight you on purpose and be lying to you, and you explaining yourself to them and then giving them supply. Now they're getting supply from you explaining to them. You didn't think that somebody could be triangulating you, right? Pitting you against somebody else who may not even exist. They're just making up this person to, make you compete because it gives them supply. The narcissist, it gives the narcissist supply, knowing that you will explain to them, knowing that you will give everything to them and more, right? You didn't think that somebody could be blame shifting you, knowing that the problem was them, that they started the problem, but that they're shifting the blame onto you, and now all of a sudden you're the problem. Now you're the person who's explaining. Now you're the person who's saying sorry when you didn't do anything wrong, right? That's something that I experienced within my marriage, to my ex-wife. I was always the one apologizing. I was always the one saying sorry for things I never even did, right? And I was always the one being blamed for things that had nothing to do with me. And when she knew that she was the problem, who she created the problem, she would just break out and start crying. And then I would be the one that says sorry. But then after a while, I just said, you know what? This had nothing to do with me. So then I stopped apologizing because I realized it wasn't my problem, right? Or, think about, you never thought that somebody, could object conscience to you, right? After everything you've done for that person, right? All they can say is, oh, well, I didn't ask you to do that. Or, oh, if you don't do this, right? They say you can never do anything right, even though you just made a mistake, right? That's known as object constancy. That's when narcissists are just showing how ungrateful they are for everything that you do for them, right? You didn't think, that because you work so hard to get all the things that you've acquired all throughout your life, that those same things you work so hard for, that the person that you work so hard for those things, well, at the end of it said, just give you more work and more work and more work. This is also known as goalposting. When the narcissist goalposts, that's what goalposting is. When the narcissist, you can never do anything right. Right? It's like everything that you did right in the love bomb stage, when everything was so good and they were the love of your life, so it made to seem. Now that you're with them for a long period of time, now nothing you do is ever good enough. Now all that food that you cooked really good, doesn't taste good anymore. All that good sex that you guys maybe had in the love bomb stage, depending on who you are, now you're probably only having sex once a month, or you're not having any sex. Right? Or all that money that you had, now it's all drying up and it's being thrown at the narcissist, and the narcissist is saying, why don't we have enough money? And then meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're financially abusing you. That's another thing I want to talk about briefly with financial abuse and the narcissist. You didn't, me personally, before I met my ex-wife, I didn't realize that that financial abuse was actually a thing. I didn't realize that people financially abuse people. I just thought that sometimes people steal money from people, like people are thieves. That's what I thought, because I knew that people steal, people have the potential, to steal from other people. But I didn't think that somebody could financially abuse someone to the point where, where I didn't know that somebody could actually, say to somebody, we don't have enough money, but then behind the scenes they're squirreling away their money, and then once the money runs out, once your money runs out, then that person is gone. They're nowhere to be found, right? I didn't realize that people could actually do that. I didn't realize it, but you didn't realize that somebody could actually do that. They could say one thing to your face, but behind your back, they're doing a completely different thing, right? These are the strange times we're living in. Think about in the church, for example. If you go to church, God bless you. If you don't, that's okay. Not judging anybody, and I don't judge anyone on my channel or anytime. You know what? You are who you are. You're called to different things. We're all called to different things. So I have no business judging anybody. But what I'm saying here is that look in the church, for example. Whether you worship whatever type of worship you do, that don't matter. We all worship. We all worship different things. We're all different. But what I'm saying is, look in the church, for example, right? The fact that pastors and ministers, aren't teaching, the doctrines the way, or the Bible the way that should be taught. They're just telling people what they want to hear. They're not getting down to the real serious root of the problem. And the serious root of the problem is is narcissism. That's the real root of the problem that many people are scared to talk about, because they're scared that people are going to get offended. They're scared of, the fact that some people may even be narcissistic and start, cursing and saying, and start accusing them of being narcissistic, So what I'm saying here is that, look, and also within the church, look at the fact that, people are being mistreated in the church. You would think that the church is supposed to be a place where people should come and, and worship and learn about God and, be treated with respect. You didn't know that these days what's happening is that people are being manipulated in the church, right? Because when you do something good, when you give, let's say you give to the church and things like that, then the people are saying, oh, you should give more and this and that, and they start blaming you when you decide not to give, right? Or you're doing something of substance in the church, like you're in one of the ministries, or you sing, or whatever it is you do. Anything you do is not good enough, right? So we are living in very, very strange times. You know what I mean? Where right is wrong and wrong is right, and people are asking the question, when is this all going to come to an end? Well, the answer to that question is when God decides that it's time, right? And God's coming soon. These end times, these things we're experiencing right now are proof that the world is coming to an end. But that's not decided by me and you. We do not decide that. And these people who try to decide and say, the world's going to end tomorrow or next year, God's going to come next year and all this stuff, you shouldn't be listening to any of that, because truth be told, those same people are probably narcissistic. They're probably narcissistic because they try to gaslight you and doubt your sense of reality to think that the world's going to end tomorrow. But then when tomorrow comes, we're still living and the world's still normal, right? So we're living in really, really perilous times and very, very strange times. You know what I mean? Where you didn't think that the person that said that they loved you, the next day, you look and, the moving truck is there, and then, things are being moved out of your house. Or you come into your house and, the person that said they loved you, whether it was your husband or your wife, if you're married or in a relationship, you come home and that person is, your husband is having sex with another woman, or your wife is having sex with another man, or they're getting too close to, that person. And you're sitting there scratching your head like, what is going on here? Who is that person? Why are they in my house? Well, the truth is that you don't know it, but your husband or your wife is probably is a narcissist, is most likely a narcissist, right? Because who in their right mind, when they're married or in a relationship, would, on purpose, knowing what they're doing, who in their right mind would, want to have sex with another person, knowing that they are married to another person? Who would do that? That's what you're thinking. Who would do something like that? Well, the truth is that a narcissist would do it because they're narcissistic, and narcissists, remember, they have a high sense of self-importance, and they have a disorder of their mind where that empathy part of their brain doesn't function like a normal person's does. That's why when it comes down to narcissists cannot get help. They cannot be helped. Stop trying to send these people to therapy and count. It's not going to work. It's going to be a waste of your time, because therapy and counseling for a narcissist, it's going to make them worse, because it's going to give them more supply to abuse you, more energy. Supply, again, is for those people who are new to my channel. If you are, thank you so much for being here. Supply is energy for the narcissist. So narcissists need people. They need people, and they use people as supply. They don't look at people as normal, everyday human beings that live and learn. No, narcissists don't see people like that. They see people as opportunities. They see people as energy sources. Right? Once they suck all the energy and the life out of them, they're starting it. Let's say your husband or your wife is a narcissist and they're starting an intentional argument with you out of nowhere, and you're trying to figure out how did we get here? Why are we talking about this? And then they're arguing with you, and then now you're screaming at the top of your lungs. You're going beat red in the face, and you're lighting up and you're getting angry and all this stuff. That's all your energy going to them, and now your energy is being zapped out. And then guess what's happening to the narcissist? They're being filled up with your energy to abuse you even more and more and more and more. You guys understand how this works? It's a serious thing, It's not a joke. It's real. This thing is real, and it's happening right now as I'm creating this video. At least one person is enduring narcissistic abuse right now. I'm telling you, these are very strange times, guys, where the other thing about these strange times is where people are being exposed. People you didn't even think. People you would have thought loved you and respected you and were who they say they are. Most of them are not who they say they are. That's why I said in one of my videos before, you can't go around judging people thinking that, people are one person, one person and another person. You can't do that, right? You have to get to know the person for who they are. You can't just believe somebody just because they say to you, oh, that person is a bad person. Oh, that person is not a good person. You can't believe everything that you hear. You have to get to know the person for yourself. Get to know who people are, and then draw your own conclusions. Don't just listen to what people say about other people, because those same people that are saying bad things about other people are probably the same people that you need to stay far away from, because those same people that gossip are the same people that are going to gossip about you at some point, right? That's why, there's a lot of gossip that goes on in the church, guys. For those who are new to my channel and those who are probably not Christian, there's a lot of gossip that goes. Now, I'm not trying to say that just because there's gossip going on, it means don't go to church. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that just because the fact that there's a lot of gossip going on in the church, you ought not to listen to what everybody tells you, right? Just because someone comes up to you and tells you sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so, or that guy over there, that girl over there is that or this or this or that, doesn't mean you should listen to what they say. Because that person could very much be a toxic or a narcissistic person who just wants to stir up drama. Or that person could very well be doing a smear campaign about another person. And that person can't defend himself. They can't say anything because that person's gossiping about them. So guys, what I'm saying is that we're living in the end times. These are very, very strange times that we are living in. We never thought that these times would be upon us. We never thought that people could act this way. We never thought that humanity could be like this. I never thought that humanity could be like this. It's really crazy for me to find all this out. But what I'm saying, guys, is that we need to be aware. We need to educate ourselves more. We need to stop thinking that we know everything about everyone. We need to get to know things for ourselves and stop placing judgments where we can't place any judgment. We need to do our due diligence. We need to be smarter. We need to act with common sense, right? And not just believe everything and not just take everything at face value. When people say one thing and they're doing another, right? Because when we do that, we're giving people our power, right? That's what I'm trying to say here, guys. Yeah, so I hope that this video helped you out. Thank you so much for being here with me today on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Again, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com. Or if you want to talk, you can send me a text message at 647-406-3057. If you want to call, just send a text to that number. Just let me know that you want to talk about your narcissistic experience. If you don't text me and you just call me, I'm going to assume that it's a number, that it's a fake number or something like that, and I'll think it's a spam, so I might block it. But just make sure that you text me just so that I know it's you and that I have an idea as to what you'd like to talk about, where you need your help, and that I'd be more than happy to give you the help that you need. So yeah, guys, hope that this video helped you out. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share this video with somebody who you think could use the knowledge, could use the wisdom, and then I can give them the help that they need as well. I really appreciate the comments, guys. Just because I'm always trying to learn more as well. I'm trying my best to push out some content. If I don't push out content, within days, it's just because I'm trying to think of different ideas and how to teach people and how to educate people. That's why I take some time off, some days off, and I just don't post anything, just because I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to, get you guys some good content to push out to you guys. So yeah, I hope this video helped you out. Thank you so much for being here, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you so much.